So, what if I told you that personal finance isn't some boring chore or a super complicated math problem? What if it's actually a game? A game with rules, levels, and even a few glitches you can learn to exploit. Okay, let's break this down because today we're learning how to win. That's right. Just picture the entire economic system as this massive multiplayer game. And like any great game, it's got a rule book, some hidden cheat codes, and, well, a few different ways to play. See, most people just grind away for 40 years completely unaware that there's a much, much faster way to level up. So I've got to ask, are you actually playing or are you being played? In video games, an NPC, a non-player character, is just, part of the background. They just follow a pre-written script. Well, in the game of wealth, an NPC is someone who follows that standard financial script without ever stopping to question it. So, to stop being an NPC, you first have to understand the game's scorekeeping system, money itself. And here's the big secret. Money isn't some law of nature, it's a social construct. It's just an idea we all agree on to make trading stuff easier. It only has power because we all believe it does. Once you really get that, the whole game starts to look completely different.
Every game has its own physics, right? A set of rules that governs how everything works. The game of wealth is no different. So let's get into the core mechanics you absolutely have to master if you actually want to win.
First up, interest. This is the simplest rule of all. When you lend out your money, you get to charge rent. When you borrow money, you have to pay rent. It's the basic cost of using someone else's score points, or the reward for letting them use yours. Simple as that. But this is where it gets really fun. This is the game's most powerful cheat code, compound interest. It's not just your initial money earning rent, it's the rent money itself that starts making these little clones, and then those clones go out and start earning their own rent. And this is how a tiny starting amount can absolutely explode into a massive score over time. Now, let's talk about the flip side. While your score is hopefully growing, the game itself is quietly getting harder. Think of inflation as a hidden difficulty setting that's always on. It's this slow, silent drain on your score that makes every single point you hold worth a little less year after year. And finally, there's this really mysterious stat on your player profile, your credit score. Now, this isn't a measure of how rich you are, it's your trust level. It's basically this secret algorithm that decides if you get access to the best power-ups in the game, like mortgages or business loans, or if you get stuck with penalties. This trust meter runs from a low of 300 all the way up to 850. The higher your score, the more of the game's map you can unlock, and the better the tools you'll be given to play with. The bottom line? Keeping this number high is a massive part of any winning strategy. All right, so we've covered the rules. Now for the really fun part, the strategy. Because in this game, there are two totally different ways to play, and it all comes down to how you manage your single most important resource, your time. Over here on the left, you've got the NPC player. They play defense, carefully trading their time for money hour by hour. But on the right, you have the mastermind. They play offense. They actually spend money to buy back their time, paying for services, software, anything that frees them up. They're always looking for the game's time glitches, those moments where spending 100 quid today saves them 50 hours of boring work over the next year. This right here is the core mindset of a mastermind player. They stop measuring costs in pounds or dollars. They start measuring them in life hours. So before you buy that new phone or those expensive shoes, do the math. How many hours of your actual life did you have to trade to earn the money to pay for it? It's a brutally honest question, and trust me, it changes everything. And this mindset shift is just huge. Playing defense means you're worrying about the small daily stuff, like a $5 coffee. But playing offense, that means you're obsessing over the big, game-changing $50,000 opportunities, learning a new high-income skill, making a smart investment, or starting a business. One saves you pennies, the other can literally change your entire score. Of course, the game developers, they've laid out a few traps for the average player. These are ideas that sound like really good advice, but they're actually designed to keep you on that slow, grinding path. So let's expose them so you can just sidestep them completely. The first, and honestly the biggest trap, is thinking your cash is safe, sitting in a savings account. I mean, it feels safe, right? But remember that hidden difficulty setting we talked about? Inflation is constantly chipping away at its value. Holding cash isn't breaking even. It's a guaranteed loss every single year. Just look at this. If you have $10,000 in cash and inflation is just 3%, you've lost $300 of real purchasing power by the end of the year.
You didn't spend a single thing, but $300 of your score just, poof, vanished into thin air. That's exactly why mastermind players don't hoard cash. They put it to work. They invest it.
All right, on to trap number 2. We've all heard it, and let's be honest, many of us have believed it. But unless you're buying some super rare classic, a car is not an investment. It is a rapidly depreciating expense designed to drain your score.
I mean, just look at the numbers here. A brand new car can lose 20 to 30% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. Look at that drop. Within just 3 years, it could be worth half of what you paid for it. That is not an asset, my friend. That is a score killer. Okay, this one is probably the most controversial. We are basically programmed from birth to believe that renting is just throwing money away. But from a purely strategic, game-playing perspective, that is not always true. When you actually compare them side by side, renting offers these huge advantages in flexibility and liquidity. It keeps your score points, your capital, free and movable. Buying, on the other hand, ties you down and comes with a ton of hidden costs like property tax, insurance, and repairs that don't actually build your equity. Sometimes renting and investing the difference is the absolute smarter mastermind move. So how do we put all this together? How do you stop grinding away for 40 years and start, well, speed running the game? It's all about using these glitches and strategies to skip the slow, boring levels and get straight to the rewards. Here it is. This is your cheat sheet. Stop grinding and start hunting for those time glitches. You know, like using a meal delivery service to save 10 hours of cooking a week, which gives you time to build a side hustle. Automate your investments. Delegate tasks you're not good at. Play offense. Focus 80% of your energy on increasing your income, not just on cutting $5 coffees. And most importantly, change how you keep score. It is not about the number in your bank account. It's about freedom. It's about how much of life's map you've actually been able to get out there and explore, because your money is working for you and not the other way around. So here it is, the ultimate takeaway. The game of wealth has rules, but they are not set in stone for you. They can be understood, they can be leveraged, and they can be used to your advantage. You've now seen the glitches in the system. So the only question left is, how are you going to play?